a book so dangerous that prisons have tried to keep it away from inmates. So controversial that some libraries refuse to stock it. So influential that it's been studied by everyone, from rappers to Fortune 500 CEOs to world leaders operating in the shadows. Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power doesn't tell you what's right or wrong. It tells you what works, and that distinction makes people deeply uncomfortable. Here's what you need to understand. Power isn't distributed fairly. It never has been. While most people are taught to be good, to play fair, to follow the rules, there's an entire game being played above their heads that operates by completely different principles. The people who understand these principles shape the world. The people who don't become the shaped. Let me show you exactly how this works. Paris, 1661. Nicolas Fouquet throws the most extravagant party France has ever witnessed. He's the finance minister to King Louis XIV, and he wants to impress his boss. Fountains of wine, fireworks that light up the sky, gold everywhere. Thousands of guests marvel at the spectacle. Fouquet genuinely believes this display will secure his position forever. 3 weeks later, he's arrested. He'll spend the rest of his life in prison. His crime? Making the king feel small. Law 1. Never outshine the master. The moment you make someone above you feel threatened, insecure, or overshadowed, you're finished. Doesn't matter how talented you are. Doesn't matter how much value you've created. The person with power will remove you to protect their ego. Louis XIV didn't see a loyal servant celebrating success. He saw a rival flaunting wealth that exceeded his own. Your boss needs to feel like the smartest person in the room. Show your competence, absolutely. But the second they sense you're outgrowing them, you become a problem to solve, not an asset to promote. This isn't cynicism. It's pattern recognition across centuries. Law 2 flips conventional wisdom completely. Never trust friends. Hire enemies. Your friends assume you owe them everything. They expect special treatment. They get jealous when you succeed without them. But a former enemy who you bring into your circle, they work twice as hard because they have something to prove. No assumptions, no entitlement. Just pure motivation to demonstrate their worth. Law 3 demands you conceal your intentions. Otto von Bismarck unified Germany not by announcing his plans but by keeping everyone guessing. When people can't read your next move, they can't position against it. Transparency sounds noble until you realize it's handing your opponents a roadmap to stop you. But here's where it gets interesting. Law 4 seems simple. Always say less than necessary. Yet most people do the exact opposite. They over-explain. They justify. They fill silence with nervous chatter. Louis XIV understood something profound. Words reveal you, but silence forces others to fill the void with their own anxieties. An anxious person makes mistakes. A person making mistakes loses power. Law 5 protects what matters most. Guard your reputation like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. Reputation takes decades to build, and one careless moment to destroy. Once people believe something about you, changing that belief becomes nearly impossible. Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla prove Law 6 brutally. Tesla was probably the superior technical mind. His innovations were revolutionary. But Edison understood what Tesla didn't. Genius means nothing if nobody knows about it. Court attention at all costs. Edison became a legend. Tesla died broke and alone. The person who captures public imagination wins, regardless of who's actually better. Law 7 is pragmatic and unsentimental. Let others do the work. Take the credit. Sounds harsh? That's how every major organization operates. The CEO gets credit for what thousands of employees build. The film director's name goes above the title, not the cinematographer who created every shot. Law 8 changes the power dynamic in any interaction. Make people come to you. Never chase. When you control the location, the timing and the terms, you control the outcome. Desperation is visible. It smells like weakness. The person willing to wait holds leverage the person scrambling never can. Law 9 cuts through endless debate. Win through actions, never argument. You can spend years trying to convince someone with words, or you can simply show results that make argument irrelevant. Results create believers faster than rhetoric ever could. Now watch how these laws compound. For 10 years, the Greek army couldn't breach Troy's walls. Then they stopped trying to. They built a massive wooden horse, left it as a gift, pretended to sail away in defeat. The Trojans celebrated, dragged the horse inside, and that night Greek soldiers hidden within opened the city from the inside. Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. One genuine act dissolves years of suspicion. The Trojans dropped their guard because the gift seemed real. The honesty appeared authentic. That's the point. Strategic vulnerability is more powerful than constant defense. But Law 15 follows with harder truth. Crush your enemy totally. When Rome finally defeated Carthage, they didn't just claim victory. They burned the city completely, salted the earth so nothing could grow, erased Carthage from existence. Brutal? Absolutely. But a wounded enemy remembers. A destroyed enemy can't retaliate. Half measures in conflict create future problems. Law 10 warns against something subtle: infection by association. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Misery spreads like disease in social ecosystems. People who are chronically unfortunate often unconsciously drag others down. Their problems become your problems. Their reputation stains yours. Law 11 builds protection differently. Make people depend on you. When others need you for something they can't get elsewhere, they defend you automatically. Your security comes from being irreplaceable. Law 13 reveals how influence actually works. When asking favors, appeal to self-interest, never mercy. People respond reliably to what benefits them. Appeals to compassion depend on mood, morality, their relationship with you. Appeals to advantage work regardless. Which brings us to the most uncomfortable realization of all. These laws don't describe how the world should work. They describe how it does work, whether you acknowledge it or not. Right now, someone in your life is using these principles. Your competitor, your colleague, maybe even your friend. The question isn't whether the game exists. The question is whether you're playing it consciously or being played. Law 14 says, pose as a friend, work as a spy. The most valuable information comes through casual conversation, not interrogation. People reveal themselves when they feel safe, when they think you're just chatting, not gathering intelligence. Every word someone speaks tells you something about their fears, desires, weaknesses. You just have to listen properly. Law 16 might be the most counterintuitive. Use absence to increase respect and honor. When you're always available, always responsive, always there, you become background noise. Strategic withdrawal creates value. People forget what they have until it's gone. Then suddenly they remember why they needed you, which connects directly to Law 17. Keep people off balance and in the dark. Never show all your cards. The moment someone can predict your behavior, they can manipulate it. Consistency feels comfortable, but it's tactically weak. The unpredictable person controls every interaction because nobody knows what's coming next. But Law 18 warns against taking this too far. Don't build a fortress around yourself. Isolation might feel safe, but it cuts you off from information, from alliances, from opportunities you didn't even know existed. Power requires connection. The castle with the highest walls eventually starves. Law 19 is survival instinct translated into strategy. Know who you're dealing with before you engage. Stalin's opponents didn't just lose their positions, they disappeared. Picking fights with the wrong person isn't bravery. It's suicide with extra steps. Some battles aren't worth fighting because some opponents don't stop at winning. Now we shift into darker territory. Charles Manson never personally killed anyone. Didn't need to. He'd accomplished something far more powerful. He replaced logic in people's minds with narrative, gave them identity, belonging, mission, made himself the center of their emotional universe. That's Law 27. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. Humans aren't primarily rational. We're emotional creatures who use reason to justify feelings we already have. The person who directs this ethically becomes a leader. The person who does it without conscience becomes something else entirely. Law 20 changes how you navigate conflict. Never commit to any side. Stay neutral when possible. Let others exhaust themselves fighting, while you position yourself as the indispensable third party. The peacemaker, the mediator, the person both sides need. Law 21 flips expectations completely. Play dumber than your mark. When people think they're the smartest person in the room, they relax. They reveal themselves. They get careless. Visible intelligence makes others defensive. Hidden intelligence gives you every advantage. Law 22 addresses the unthinkable. When you're outmatched, surrender strategically. You buy time. You lower their guard. You survive to rebuild. Surrender isn't defeat if you're planning 3 moves ahead. Law 23 demands focus. Concentrate your forces. Scattered effort produces scattered results in business, relationships, creative work, everything. Trying to do 10 things adequately beats doing 1 thing exceptionally exactly. Never. Law 24 is about social elegance. Master the art of timing. Clumsy flattery insults people. Graceful flattery disarms them. The difference isn't what you say, it's when and how you say it. Law 25 might be the most liberating. Do not accept the roles that society foists on you. Recreate yourself. Your background doesn't write your future. Other people's expectations don't define your limits. Choose who you're becoming and build that person deliberately. Law 26 is cold but practical. Keep your hands clean. When controversial things must happen, ensure someone else is formally responsible. History judges whoever signed the document, not who gave the order quietly. Law 28 says boldness has power. Enter action with confidence. Hesitation signals weakness before anyone analyzes your actual competence. People feel your certainty before they evaluate your capability. Law 29 separates amateurs from professionals. Plan all the way to the end. Most people plan their next move. Strategists envision the final outcome and work backwards from there. Every action serves the ultimate goal. Law 30 is about perception. Make your accomplishments appear effortless. When people see you struggle, they see your limitations. When success looks natural, it looks inevitable. Nobody remembers the rehearsals, they remember the performance. When Hoover wanted to destroy Capone's empire, he didn't chase every gangster in Chicago. He focused on one man. Get Capone and the structure collapses. Law 42. Strike the shepherd and the sheep scatter. Every organization has a central node. Remove it and what remains becomes directionless. This isn't just warfare, it's organizational psychology. Law 31 controls through illusion. Control the options. Give people choices, but only choices you designed. The illusion of freedom is more powerful than obvious control. People accept outcomes they feel they chose. Law 32 appeals to fantasy. Reality disappoints most people. The person who paints compelling visions of what could be holds enormous influence over those dissatisfied with what is. Hope is currency. Law 33 finds the lever. Everyone has a weakness, a particular fear or desire that, when identified, moves everything else. Find it and you find their control mechanism. These 48 laws don't create morality. They describe mechanism, how power actually functions in offices, families, governments, relationships, history, streets. Whether you use them actively is your choice, but not knowing them carries cost. The world contains people who understand these dynamics perfectly. If you don't, you're not outside the game. You're just losing without realizing you were playing. Which law surprised you most? Which one did you recognize from your own experience? The game exists regardless. Now you know the rules. Power doesn't care whether you believe in it. These 48 laws operate whether you acknowledge them or not. Someone around you already knows this. The only question left is whether you'll keep playing blind or finally see the board. The choice was always yours.